Welcome to Beer Net Radio. Listen to on every continent except Antarctica. B-double-E-R-R-N-E-T.
Beer.
Beer Net Radio.
Yeah, so she's been bathing in Millicent's pool. And she likes to roll. There's a little patch of dirt in the back that she rolls in when she's wet, which turns to mud, and then she gets all muddy, and then she jumps back in the pool. So Millicent's pool's like quasi green right now because of the dog. So I'm heading over there after this to go swimming. Dog. She's a good dog. Just
Nice work, Biscuit.
I mean, stupid is what stupid does. We all know that, don't we, Bisc?
Yo,
She's got
I think
that
my
little-
new AC is broken.
Are you serious? Didn't you
Yeah.
just put it in?
Yes, I'm so mad.
It's not that hot. I mean,
You're funny. And I banished it's the upstairs unit, and I just banished my children upstairs.
oh, kids don't feel heat.
Right.
15 minutes in the hot box, Billy and Bella.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. So I got 20 minutes, guys.
All right. Let's get popping.
Get it popping.
Let's get it popping. So very exciting. We have a new editor starting today, Bianca, and we welcome her to the pack. And what do you have her doing today, Jen? Is she already fleeing for the hills, or are you easing her in?
No, we're easing her in. We got her started with her email address, and she's got a style book, which is hilarious because we haven't updated our style book since I started working here.
We have a style book?
Exactly. So I was deleting large passages. I was like, that's not true. That's not true. What? Who wrote this?
I'd love to read our style book. Who wrote it? Did I write it?
I think Emily wrote it in like 2013. So
Oh,
I had to adapt it all and update it all. I'll send it to you. It's 7 pages. It's a style / handbook,
yeah.
It's just kind of, various and sundry things one may take into consideration when writing for BBD.
I mean,
Things to think about.
Emily so desperately wanted us to be a legitimate company, and she worked so hard at it. And you know what? She just finally gave up. And
That's
but
what-
she gave it a good college try. And we're better for it. But you can't tame wild dogs.
That's right.
Okay. No, what are we like? Raccoons. We're like garbage pandas.
Garbage pandas. Yeah, we're like skunks. I mean, my days of eating stuff out of the trash and floor are over since this.
Oh, I don't know about that, Jen. Let's not rush to any.
It's done. It wasn't before the pandemic, but now
You still eat off other people's plates, though.
Oh yeah, well that's true. Well, less so.
Less so. I have noticed. I mean, remember that time in like Minneapolis or somewhere, Jordan, where like we got a giant plate of nachos and like you and I went to the bar to get a beer. We came back and they were gone.
I think it was Philly. By the
That
way,
was Philly. That was the chili and Chili's in Philly.
The Chili's in Philly,
Yeah.
our office away from home.
Oh yeah.
I was just going to add one thing on that style book real quick, because
Yeah.
the funniest part is it has all these guidelines and then it just kind of concludes to our style is kind of like pornography. You know it when you see it.
That was not Emily. That was me.
Okay, I figured.
You'll know when you see it.
I hope Bianca doesn't get
No.
offended, but
Well, no, that's you don't bury the lead. That's the only thing I have to say about that. Unless
that
you
should have been
unless you want to have a clickbaity title like High Noon outsells every other liquor, and then you go down like for the week ending July 4th.
yeah, asterisk.
Asterisk on Drizzly or whatever. No, it was IRI.
It was
It's
scans.
IRL.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was scanned.
But
I know I
it's
got
one
so
week.
much shit about that on Twitter. I was like, you don't even subscribe, so don't. I kind of bit off this guy's head. He was like, "Well, your editorial style, blah blah." I was like, "You don't even subscribe, so shut the fuck up." And then he was like, "Wow, that was harsh." And I was like, "Yeah, that was harsh. Sorry."
I didn't see that.
I'm glad you didn't, Jen. I'm glad you didn't. You need to stay off Twitter. It's just going to upset you. I know you.
Well,
It
here's
upsets
the
me.
thing. Yeah, I want to tweet because I want for BBD because I want to be able to update, or maybe Bianca can or Jordan can, because we need presence on there, but I can't
Well,
engage on Twitter.
I was gonna send you the password until I realized I didn't know it. It's all programmed into my browser, but I can figure it out. And I'll send it to you. And yeah, you can. What I do is just take screenshots of the issue if it's interesting, and I don't even link to the article. I do everything opposite that they tell you to do because I'm a contrarian, and I want to make it hard for them to subscribe. If they like the article and they're like, "Wow, I wish I had this publication," where do I click? Oh, you have to wait. Make them work for it.
Myself.
Well, they'll appreciate it more if they had to work for the subscription. It's not just about money. All right, so I got to tell you guys, I went to Florida to speak to Louisiana wholesalers, and then I went to Louisiana to speak to the Florida wholesalers. Or no, I spoke to the retailer. Anyway, great trips. It was good to see my peoples. My peoples are the wholesalers. And I would say like probably the biggest topic was Mountain Dew and Simply in these drinks. How they're doing very well, but are we going to see a backlash, or what's Pepsi going to do? Those are kind of the topics that I think are hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to and that's another, like next week, have we done a recap of our predictions yet, or did I miss that?
Not yet.
All right, so it's late July. It's time.
Yeah.
Jordan, why don't we work on that? You and I are good at working on that.
Let's do it.
All right. I also would like to point out that we have the 20th anniversary of the summit coming up, January 8th, 2023 at the Breakers in Florida. Just got back, in my travels. I stopped in at the Breakers to do a site check while I was in Florida. It looks great. It hasn't changed. The hotel's 200 years old, and I'm glad in the last 2 years it hasn't changed. So I have that to report. Go to beernet.com. And I was thinking, for my opener, I was going to invite some people who were at the very first summit to join me on stage. And that would be like Caroline Levy, Bump Williams, JB, and do a little, anyway, we'll talk about that inside baseball later. So how about that Boston's earnings release? Any surprises there, Jen?
No, everybody thought they were going to lower guidance, and sure enough, they lowered guidance, right? It's par for the course, reformulating Truly again, which last time they did that, it seemed to help, right? It's an excuse for them to spend around it again, I guess. More marketing,
Right.
And then the interesting thing, you mentioned Mountain Dew. They did note that they are going to shift some of their new markets into next year. Cryptically said, due to regulatory circumstances. And nobody asked them about that really on the call. They didn't ask them about the regulatory,
Right.
which I was surprised about. I was also surprised that nobody asked them, and we can't because we're not analysts, so we can't get on the call, that nobody asked them, because back to what I was saying about Truly, they're going to have a new Truly marketing campaign about the reformulation, but they also said that they were cutting marketing spend basically. So what's it coming out of? Are they going to do less, Sam Adams, Cousin from Boston type stuff? What are they taking it out of? That's what I'm curious about. I don't know what your thoughts were, Jay.
Yeah, the hard Mountain Dew part was interesting because it seemed like they were trying to telegraph something.
Yeah, right. But what was it that they were trying to telegraph?
It seemed like they're okay with the Pepsi partnership, but it was like, okay, let's get this thing moving, because as you can see, our earnings are taking a hit right now. This is about the best thing we got in our portfolio outside of Twisted Tea right now. And we're in 7 states, and we might get 5 more by the end of the year. And every market it's going into it's just crushing it. So I think they're trying to kind of speed that process up. But like we were talking about, that's just a hot brand, and hot in many ways. I think people are worried about where they put that brand, what's going to happen, and if they're going to have to pull it.
Right.
Harry,
it's a legit concern.
Yeah. And
I mean, you
when
know, we've all seen the infamous picture of the hard Mountain Dew right next to the regular Mountain Dew on the same display, and how much that goes on in real life. You know, I don't know that it goes on that much. That's one picture that has been floating around for 2 months now.
There was more than one picture for sure, but
Oh.
you know, we did write, because we did reach out to Pepsi about our Blue Cloud about that, and they did say, for what it's worth, that is not their, you know, their MO for them to merchandise hard and soft Mountain Dew, if you will, together. They did say, you know, best practices, we advise people not to merchandise it that way. That's what they say. So
Best practices, it should be the only practice.
well,
I mean,
yeah, right, exactly.
you know,
There's
and let me
standards
remind everybody that one has caffeine and one doesn't. And I'm wondering,
Right.
once the population recognizes that it doesn't have caffeine, whether it will have that staying power for repeat buys. I don't know. It might. I haven't tasted it yet. But I mean, obviously, it's going to have high trial. I mean, just because of the name, and so I don't know that we can make. I think it's still too early
Yeah.
to know how it's going to have staying power. One summer does not a brand make, one half of a summer really. But Twisted is interesting, because before we got on the call, I was just kind of looking at scan data to get a sense of what's going on. And, you know, Twisted is obviously one of the highest share gaining brands in beer, but it's C-store, man. So it's not gaining much share in grocery stores. So it's funny, when it's blended, Twisted Tea doesn't look like it's gaining that much share, because it's not in grocery stores. So, you know, you really got to look through to channel specific on certain brands to get a real sense of how that brand's doing. The other interesting thing that I saw in the scan data was, if you look at what's gaining share, and I don't know if you guys, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend about budget beers doing well. There was also an article last week in the Chicago Tribune about it, which I was quoted in. Jen,
Nice.
did you know that? Do you know I get quoted sometimes?
Good. You should be quoted all the time.
I know.
Sometimes, all the time.
So the journal says that in the 4 weeks ending July 2nd, economy brands increased by 5.4%. That's Nielsen data from Bump Williams. And the brands making the biggest gains are, of course, Busch Light, Ice House, and Milwaukee's Best Light. I also noticed that High Life is gaining share as well. Regular Busch and Natty Light and Keystone Light are not doing that great. So
it is. It's interesting, especially if you look at the latest 4 weeks of food. Molson Coors is dominating. They gained 1.5 points a share. Nobody even came close to that. And part of that is the new Simply launch, but most of that is from premium brands and economy. Ice House, High Life, Coors Banquet, Milwaukee's Best Ice, Milwaukee's Best Light. I mean, almost 22, 23 of their top 25 brands in food are gaining share.
Right.
And
especially
they're the
Miller
ones,
Lite.
And they're the ones that, you know, downsize their whole economy portfolio too.
But what about when you look at multi-outlet and convenience? Is it the same story, or is it just?
It's similar. They're not the top share gainer in multi-outlet and convenience, but it is surprising that all this is happening. Yeah, to me at least, in food, where I would think the trade down would be more convenience, but it's mostly happening.
I'm sure they're regretting getting rid of those brands, but I mean, maybe not. I mean,
I don't think so. I mean, they're doing all right, actually. For the first time in a long ass time, they're doing all right. And I'm sure we'll hear when they report next week that what is it? The revitalization.
The revitalization.
It's finally working.
I mean, you try everything long enough.
Right, exactly.
Keystone Light's not doing great. I guess since they stopped going after Stone, that really cut into their growth.
Jesus Christ, 10 years from now, you'll still be making jokes about Keystone versus
Hey,
Stone.
I bet. Listen, been making Bud Ice jokes for 20 years. You think that's stopping? Let me look at. We're watching you, Bud Ice. Look at you, Bud Ice. Flat
Yeah.
share, up 94 cents a case, which is low compared to everybody else.
Milwaukee's best ice was up 82% in the latest 4 weeks. Milwaukee's best light was up 95%.
What's their pricing doing on that?
Growing,
Can you see that?
growing faster than it is $13 a case, which is about 67 cents more than it was last year. But $13 a case.
Wow. I mean, shit. Is that might as well just give it away for free? Is it worth even collecting $13?
By the time you pay the people to collect the $13.
Yeah. Dos Equis is losing a little share. Pabst losing share. Heineken losing share.
Heineken's, they've been in a tough spot majority of this year. Supply issues. The
biggest share gainers right now for combined grocery and C-store. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
The number one is going to shock you. It's Modelo Especial. Gaining 1 full share point. Well, that's a lie. 0.99 share points. The reason, and of course, the number 2 grower is Michelob Ultra with 3/4 of a share point gain. That's multi-outlet. Now, like I mentioned earlier, some of these brands are channel specific. The reason these 2 brands are growing, the biggest growers, is because they're in every channel. If you look at Modelo Especial, it's growing the same in C-stores as it is in grocery, or about the same. And they're growing in singles, they're growing in multi-packs, they're growing in glass, they're growing in cans. It's like it can't be stopped. Twisted Tea is a great story, but it's C-store and it's a single story. That's the thing that's screwing with pricing too. If you look at scan data and you're like, God, some of these prices are way up and they're still growing. How is that? Well, probably because they're shifting more to singles, which has a higher retail price on a case,
Dave Berwick said that everything driving Twisted Tea is the 12 packs, because that has allowed more chain to get behind it. And so they've given it more shelf space, and round it goes. So
why would you listen to the CEO of the company over me?
Right. Sorry.
No, I'm sure that's true. It just hadn't shown up in the data yet. Maybe. I don't know.
Their new 12 packs, their variety packs are doing really well in food.
Yeah.
And they're getting more draft too. So I expect that one to continue growing. I don't know about Hard Mountain Dew in a year or two, but I think that's just so that they can, trial balloon Blue Cloud as much as it vexes certain people in certain organizations.
Yeah.
Certain people.
Harry, in your conversations with wholesalers, were they more angry that Pepsi about the product itself and how it's kind of pushing the limits, or that it's just not in their house?
That it's not in their house.
Yeah. Everything else is secondary. Right. Exactly.
Right. Because it's not, the morals aren't stopping them from pushing Simply and Topo Chico and slinging it in every place that they can. So, everybody laughed at me when I said sugar's making a comeback, and look at Simply and Twisted growing like crazy, and people are going back to light beer. Miller Lite's doing really well, and I think it's coming right out of seltzer. Gotta be right.
Yep.
Pricing looks about, and they're up about $1 a case, which is lower than other premiums, a little bit lower, but it's coming out of seltzer, baby.
Yeah,
it's gonna be it's light beer summer.
Yeah.
It's short beer. It's short kings and light beers, right, dog? Hey, stupid, wake up.
Yeah, we had several wholesalers tell us exactly that for our July 4th read, that it's coming out, that premium light growth is coming straight out of seltzer.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Dave Berwick said, is they pretty much, accomplished the same need for consumers. It's, light, easy drinking, and you can drink several of them.
Right.
They serve the same function, and I think it's become more of
For the
What
lowest
function?
common,
We don't talk
What
about
function
the
are you
I word.
talking about? Oh yeah, we do. I know. Note
No I
note
word,
to
no D
Bianca.
word.
We don't talk about intoxication. We don't talk about the taste of a beer, and we don't talk about. Well, that's it.
yeah, well, those are the only two things we don't talk about.
Right. Red's Wicked Apple Ale.
That may be coded wrong. I mean,
I know. I
maybe
see
not.
a few mistakes in here that have to be mistakes.
There's definitely, although Jordan and I went over that last year or this year, thinking, because we even asked Marty, who I can throw under the bus because he's not at Molson Coors anymore. He was like, I don't even think Reds is still around anymore. But it turned out it actually was Reds.
No, I think it does
I don't
do
know.
well in certain pockets.
Yeah.
It's one of those brands that does well. Like I can't remember where, but maybe Washington State. I'm just making that up because that's where apples are grown. But
It's still around, but
Yeah.
I think they cut like every line extension it had in the big SKU cut last year or 2 years ago.
I'm just
hard to remember.
Corona is just that little engine that can't quit. Corona is the fourth largest share gainer, right before Busch Light and right after Truly Hard Seltzer Margarita style mix pack. If your brand name has more than 3 words in it, you should probably reconsider. Truly Hard Seltzer Margarita style mix pack is something that only Anheuser-Busch could make up. AV was the king of long brand names. The best was Anheuser-Busch World Select.
World Select?
Can you imagine walking into a bar? It was supposed to be a Heineken killer. It was in a green bottle. And you go into a bar, you're like, may I have an Anheuser-Busch World Select, please? And it did not do well. It's a terrible bar call.
You know what is a good bar call, Harry?
What?
Give me a Wild Bubbles or a Hard Bubbles. I forget.
Hard Bubbles.
I think it was Wild Bubbles, but who knows? I still think we should make it. I really do. God, I'm itching to make this brand.
You know what? Keep your dreams alive, Jen. Don't quit. So what's the latest on the brew initiative? You've been traveling all over the country, the MBWA beer,
building relationships and empowering women.
Relationships. I got it.
Yeah, that's the MBWA end of it. And then there's an interlocking industry 3-tier wide organization called the Alliance for Brew.
Right.
But we are having our first actual event on the tail end of MBWA, October 12th at the Hyatt Regency. We'll have a lot of esteemed speakers such as Michelle Saint-Jacques and Malika Montero from Constellation. And a panel and also and some people from outside the industry as well, just about bringing more women into leadership in the beer industry.
Well, we need it. I mean, we've come a long way, but
yeah,
it's still a sad state of affairs. Well, that's great. I like that Malika. Will you let her know that I'm okay, that I've recovered from COVID and that everything's fine?
That's right. I will let her know, Harry.
If for those at home, if you haven't, if you go back a few podcasts, I took a test. Harry cares hashtag. On this podcast, I took a live COVID test and it was positive. Malika was on there. All right. So we have big travel plans for all of us this fall. Of course, we're all going to 3 MBWA. I think Jordan and I are going to cover Mike's, which is the week before in Chicago. And then right after is what?
BI.
Is BI. Is that also in Chicago?
It is also in Chicago, thankfully.
Right. That's right. So I'll be getting an apartment in Chicago and Biscuit and I'll be living there. And then what else? Is there anything else on the horizon?
We have actually might as well ask you now. Does somebody want to cover Sierra's meeting with me in late August? It's the 23rd and 24th in Mills River.
Is it in Nashville?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Right.
Jordan wants to go. You can go, Jordan.
Harry,
hell, we can all 3 go. It doesn't matter. Do we look broke to you?
That
Well,
is about-
actually, I think we just had this conversation.
Yeah, we did. We're like, we need to cut down on travels. Yeah. But Sierra Nevada, we need to give them some love.
And
Yeah,
that's about the coolest brewery, I think.
It
you can
is.
go
I've
to.
never been to that one, I don't think.
it's cool. It's really cool.
Also, I'm going to Buffalo Trace at the invitation of
Nice.
Mr. Goldring. Hello, hello, hello. He's the only one I know that prints out an email and sends it through FedEx. Brilliant. Just to make sure I got it. Listen, I'd love to sit here and just shoot the shit with you guys all afternoon, but I know you have work to do. I know that I have to take care of this dog and other things. I do have some work to do.
I have to fix my
And,
AC. Oh, by the way, Harry, are we putting those reader surveys in this week today?
Tomorrow, yeah, I'm going to do
Tomorrow,
that. That's
okay.
I knew, yeah, for tomorrow morning, yeah, and then yes, tomorrow, starting tomorrow. I just didn't get to it yesterday, and then whatever.
Okay, cool.
But in all three publications, if you subscribe, you'll be getting a reader survey. It's something we do every few years, but this one's a little more involved because it's every 5 years. We like to just make sure we're doing our jobs and that how we can improve direction, strategy, our image, blah, 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 blah. And, depending on the results of the survey, I'm pretty much sure that I'm going to promote Biscuit to Intergalactic Lord is the title that she has been asking for. And how do you deny her at this point? I mean, she's got us by the short hairs.
Well deserved.
What if now she's awake.
Oh, she says, yes, I'm awakened.
Yeah, I am awake. Well, listen, you guys are the best. We got the best team in BevAlc. We're the best looking. We're the smartest, fastest. And all right, we'll see you later. Bye, guys.
See ya.